The astrology of March 2025 is going to be very loud, full of retrogrades, and we finally have eclipse season here, my friends. We're going to have a lunar eclipse in Virgo this month, and we're going to be concluding this month with a solar eclipse in Aries. And if you guys remember what the solar eclipse in Aries did for you last year, please leave your experiences in the comments, because I can tell you for myself, that solar eclipse birthed something in the Aries part of my life that honestly till this day I have forever been changed, to say the least. But yeah, guys, we have Venus going retrograde, obviously very beginning of March, going back into Pisces, and we also have Mercury going retrograde in the middle of March, going back into Pisces as well. So the Aries and Pisces parts of our lives are going to be in much review. There's going to be a reconciliation between the both. We're going to be seesawing back and forth, involving those themes of life and what we need to learn, further in those parts of our lives. And with Venus, we're dealing with desire, beauty, and pleasure. And with Mercury, we're dealing with the mind. We're dealing with complications involving our thoughts, decisions, potentially something that can come up for us in which we need to very much contemplate. So this is a month of serious contemplation, but also serious action, because Aries is no joke. And the eclipse season is here. And as we get into the later parts of March, we are going to see more and more of that Aryan activation, especially because this solar eclipse is so activated. And because Mercury will be kind of the last personal planet, because Venus will be in Pisces retrograde, and Mercury will still be in Aries while the solar eclipse is going on. And then literally the next day, we have Neptune go into Aries, probably one of the last transits of the month, actually. And Mercury flips into Pisces literally within the same day. So that's actually a really big transit that I very much would like to talk about a little bit today in this video. But yeah, guys, I mean, March is going to be that month that a lot of astrologers talked about as one of the months that really sets off a lot of the events that go forward in the year. Like we talked about January, how that was very much a setup phase with still continuing Mars retrograde in Cancer. Now Mars officially moving direct towards Leo, which will take another month or so, a couple more months from now. But we also have Jupiter that has been direct in February, right? Most of February, almost all of February, Jupiter has been direct. And from from January and February, we've really been setting up a lot of what is going to be going down for the rest of the first part of the year. We're talking March, April, May, and June. And then when Jupiter gets into Cancer, then we're pretty much setting ourselves up for the heavy doses of astrology that will start triggering when Uranus gets into Gemini, July 6th, I believe. But March is the month where just when we thought we were done with retrogrades, no, we are not at all done with retrogrades, my friends. And this is a cycle in which we have more personal attachment to, involving things that are desirous, pleasurable, with the Venus retrograde, of course. Things might be coming back from your past that we might have to deal with. And these don't have to necessarily be lovers or anybody that's, involving love per se. This might just have something to do with things that we are feeling into. This is emotional, and we're dealing with the Aries part of our life, which is very aggressive. It's very passionate there. It's ruled by Mars, very, very fiery. But when we seesaw back into the Piscean, in which we are wrapping up karmic stories with Saturn there, with Neptune there, there's something that is very much going to be addressed and reviewed. And this is something important we need to track today, my friends. So I'm going to run through some dates. As you guys know, my monthlies are kind of just a cruise through of some of the bigger things I think that are important for us to kind of just brush over, talk about, muse in a very, very subtle sense. Of course, I'll get into details on how I'm feeling about some of these things. But the truth of the matter is that we are dealing with a lot of heavy transits that I'm going to need to dive deeper in as we get through the month. But if you are new to the channel and you are maybe enjoying this video thus far, I'm sure you need to watch a little bit more of the video to know if you would like to support the channel and my work here. But yeah, please do consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, leaving a comment, hitting that notification bell. All that stuff really helps the channel's growth here, guys. And I'm so honored that you guys are helping me build a community here. I'm so thrilled to be meeting so many of you guys in readings lately. And yeah, my name is Joe Theodore. I'm a consulting astrologer and teacher of astrology and various other esoteric things. And yeah, guys, I would love to have you here if you're new. And also, if you'd like to learn anything else about me or to book a reading or just click any links are down below in the description box. All right, my friends, well, let me run down some dates for you, and then we'll quickly and just, we'll see what we want to talk about today. We'll see what we can muse on, what we can talk about. So on March 2nd, very first 2 days of March, we have Venus retrograde beginning at 10 degrees Aries, and that will end April 12th with a conjunction with Saturn. So that's something we'll actually talk about probably next week, or maybe when that time comes, maybe around April itself. So we'll get more into that transit at some point. And then on March 14th is when we will have our lunar eclipse in Virgo. And this will happen at 23 degrees. This will happen in the third Decan, and this Decan is ruled by Mercury. And as you guys know, I do like diving into the decans of where significant transits will fall. And we go through the tarot card associations with the decans, because that really allows us to kind of narrow down. Sometimes, in my opinion, I like using astrological magic to kind of understand, okay, well, what is the symbolism that the tarot is trying to show us for this particular transit? So Virgo is ruled by the Hermit. The Decan ruler is Mercury, which is ruled by the Magician. And the minor arcana associated with this Decan is the 10 of Pentacles. So yeah, Virgo is quite the zodiac sign for us to start having eclipses in. And this first eclipse will be a lunar eclipse. So we're going to talk more about that a little bit in this video, of course, and then in the future, throughout the month, we're definitely going to dive into that. Now, March 16th, we have a Mercury retrograde that begins at 9 degrees Aries, and that will end on April 7th. So this is definitely a transit that will conclude faster than Venus retrograde, which is expected because Mercury retrogrades fly much faster, and they churn up much more mental and psychological turmoil than potentially a Venus retrograde will. Venus retrogrades are slow burns. They really do allow us to sink into our emotions and kind of just feel into and reconcile and kind of just unfold like what it is that we need to contemplate, involving this emotional wave of whatever the Venusian is trying to speak to you. And then on March 29th, we will have our last solar eclipse in Aries at 9 degrees, and this will happen in the first Decan. Okay, so this is also very important, and we're going to talk about that. I believe last year this was happening in the second or third Decan of Aries, but this yeah, Aries ruled by the Emperor. Okay, and the Decan ruler is Mars, ruled by the Tower. So this very much will probably be an eclipse that's very explosive. It will very much cause a massive beginning somewhere on the world stage. I think this is going to be a very powerful sign and a very powerful moment. An event potentially can pop off in which we very much propel ourselves into some new territory. Okay, and if you have not been looking at the news lately, I mean, this is kind of like what we're dealing with every day of our lives. Some very, very new events unfolding. I mean, the Trump administration in the United States, for example, there's always something new and big popping off on the world stage. And this solar eclipse, like I said in the beginning, guys, this is very much happening the day before Neptune enters Aries. Okay, and that's going to be a really big, loud day, guys. So this solar eclipse to happen within degrees of when Neptune flies back into Aries for the first time in over 100 and something years. This is going to be very big. It's going to be very big for American politics, and it's going to be very big for the world. And it's, of course, going to be very big for you, you know. And then, yes, March 30th, like I just said, Neptune enters Aries. Mercury retrograde at the same time regresses back into Pisces, will conjoin essentially Venus retrograde, and they will start harmonizing together, both of their stories and both of their whatever they're going to be offering you will be blending together. So this desirous pleasure that Venus is still in a review process for will go back into her exalted sign. And then Mercury will meet up, and there will be a massive conversation between them both, you know? So this is really, really important, guys. This is really important stuff. And I think with this Neptunian activation with the solar eclipse and then Mercury retrograde going back into Pisces, there's going to be an element of delusion and confusion and deception, I think, involving whatever pops off on the world stage. You know, I have it in my notes here. The solar eclipse in Neptune and Aries triggered with the Mercury retrograde will be a big birthing of deception, communication issues, and immediately sparks what Neptune and Aries is all about. So in our own life, I'm not saying that there's going to be a deceptive moment for our own personal lives, but I think we might have to, you know, we'll see what that is. You know, I mean, this could be something really profound involving secrets coming to the surface for you. This could be really profound involving something that really puts you in a tailspin at the end of the month into April, in where we really must figure some sort of an issue out. Maybe this is where the Mercury retrograde story, where in my case, Mercury retrogrades are always about decision makings. So this could be a moment for me, for example, where I might be in a state of like heavy review where, okay, well, Neptune just crossed into Aries. So now this Aries part of my life very much needs to be addressed. And at the same time, the Pisces story in my life very much will also have a moment of like, okay, well, now what do I do? So I don't really think we're going to figure out a lot of these retrograde issues. And I don't think we're going to have the answers to our questions really until these retrogrades officially end. And sometimes I feel I get insights to the retrogrades and answers and solutions like halfway through a retrograde cycle. I feel with this Neptune switch into Aries, there's going to be a lot of like shaky ground for us, which is why I think a lot of astrologers have very much been pointing to like this retrograde cycle, these eclipse moments, to being so powerful with so many new big beginnings and endings. Because that's kind of what a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse are all about. They are very big beginnings and very big endings, okay? The beginnings are the birthings with the solar eclipses. They are powerful new moons, essentially, and then the lunar eclipses are powerful full moons, you know? They're very powerful portals of endings and beginnings. So these retrograde cycles are going to probably be a part of that story, to be quite honest with you. Now, I want to ask you guys, you know, how do we go about solving our problems? How do we go about delays? How do we go about dealing with the issues we have within the Pisces and Aries parts of our lives? You know, I want you to really reflect into the Aries part of your life and the Piscean part of your life. And I want you to ask yourself, okay, like what stories are playing out there now? Like, what do I have to very much like begin to contemplate? And all of us should already begin to feel and understand what those parts of our lives are going to be triggered. We should already kind of have a sense of that, you know? And I think when we go about solving problems, we very much have to be honest with ourselves. And I think this 2025 period of time, with all of this heavy astrology, we very much need to be as honest as we can with our situations. And I think the solar eclipse will also be aiding in this birthing moment. So we can't forget that this solar eclipse is probably one of the biggest transits, aside from Neptune going into Aries. In my opinion, this solar eclipse in Aries is a birthing moment that will help you within the Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde events and contemplations, reviews, delays, issues, and problems. So I very much want you to go about already investigating what's uncomfortable in those parts of your lives? What events recently have triggered there? What do you need to very much sink into in a meditative state? And I would encourage all of you to meditate, especially when we're dealing with going back into Pisces energy, when we're going to be dealing with even more Saturn. I didn't even talk about Saturn yet. That's something we're going to talk about probably in a few weeks from now. We're definitely going to talk about Saturn, because Saturn is going to be activated in a massive way when Venus and Mercury travel back enough into Pisces. So there's going to be a very authoritative and very Saturnian, restrictive, disciplinary energy that comes along with the beginning of their direct motions when that starts going down in April. But this solar eclipse in Aries, I mean, I know we didn't really touch on the Virgo solar eclipse, but guys, we're going to have all month to talk about this stuff. But this solar eclipse is huge because it's really going to birth an event, an insight, a complete revelation within ourselves of something that we need to move forward in. I mean, like I said, the solar eclipse Aries is ruled by the Emperor, okay? And the Decan ruler is Mars. So again, this first Decan of Aries is all about Martian, like, how are we going to embark forward with our plans? How are we going to actually initiate our new future, you know? And the minor arcana is ruled, the minor arcana card that is associated with this first Decan of Aries is the Two of Wands. And the Two of Wands comes right after the Ace of Wands. And the Two of Wands is all about, okay, how do I prepare and plan and actually take action in what I want? So it's go time. So I think last year was very, very powerful and very awakening with that solar eclipse in Aries, where this year it is much more about, okay, now it's go time. We very much need to start taking action in exactly what we need to do. And these retrogrades are going to be a part of that story, and we're going to be finishing up karma in Pisces in the process. And after this solar eclipse, like I told you, Neptune flips into Aries, and then we're going to, I think, have more spiritual fulfillment. And I think our belief in ourselves is going to very much propel whatever we are needing to birth in the Aries part of our life. Okay? And now I'll just conclude real quick on this lunar eclipse in Virgo, guys. I mean, whatever Virgo is for you. I mean, I feel like I haven't talked about Virgo in probably, I don't know, months. Nothing's really been going on in Virgo. But now we're going to have our first lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipses are massive endings. Something is going to be concluding with this lunar eclipse. We're going to finally see something in that part of our life maybe take shape and transform itself in a way that we've needed in a very, very long time. And we're dealing with the Hermit energy with Virgo as far as tarot is concerned, and we are dealing with Mercury, which is ruled by the Magician. Okay, this Decan that it's falling in is mercurial. It is very mental. It is going to be very stimulating, involving the mind. But also, this is going to be a powerful transition eclipse moment in which we can use that magician energy, which is pure willpower, pure manifestation power. So we are going to have something very much cracked open in the Virgo part of our life. And this is going to start a multi-eclipse cycle involving the Virgo and Pisces eclipse that will be coming like more powerfully in the fall. But the Virgo part of our lives, guys, this is the first moment of some ending. Something has to be stopped. Something needs to be concluded in order for us to provide this new energy of willpower, creation, manifestation. Now, there's going to be so much more to talk about this lunar eclipse throughout the month of March, because I'm going to dive into all these transits one by one, guys, and we're going to dive into the tarot. We're going to dive into the nitty-gritty of some of this stuff. But yeah, that's really like kind of my major themes and discussion points of March. So yeah, once again, if you enjoyed this video, my friends, and you're new, please consider subscribing. Have a great start to March, and I will see you as we unfold this powerful month that will change the world and ourselves.